There's one thing I'd do to get sympathy. It's write a book. This is today's Arsenal Transfer Show special. Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Transfer Show on the Gooner Talk. Of course, these evening shows are our special episodes where I'm joined weekly by a fantastic guest. And of course, is there any more fantastic than today's? It's Sophie. How you doing? You're from the Highbury Squad, of course. Or Hope. Should I call you Hope? Is that your new name?
I was taught a long time ago that hope is not a plan, but hope is what keeps all of our dreams alive. So, and I also apologize. My gardener's here right now. And he literally just decided to come this way as soon as you went live. So
yeah,
hopefully you can't hear him.
That was the first time I've heard him, but it wasn't really loud. I think you're fine.
All right. I'm sorry for all your listeners on your audio platforms where they expect,
perfection.
Dolby surround.
So
James Cameron type sound.
yeah, that's never a guarantee on this show. I was just doing a recording with Arsenal Analysed as well, which will be going live on his channel soon. So make sure you go over to Arsenal Analysed and check out their video. I'm sure it'll be up at some point in the near future, but my audio cut out halfway through. So I tell him that you're going to have to edit this bit out as I refresh, as sometimes happens. So, I'm no better. Absolutely not. But
last week, yeah, I'm good. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing a show with Pedro from Le Grove, and my whole system just died. Totally. And
solid.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Sammy Mockbell.
Oh, wow. That's right.
No, Ben Jacobs. Sorry. It was Ben Jacobs.
You're just plugging people at this point. You're just trying to plug people. Oh, was it Le Grove? Oh, no, I remember it was Ben Jacobs. Oh, no. I think it was Sammy Mockbell. Or was it David Ornstein? Was it the Pope? It might have been the Pope, actually.
The squaddies will tell you it's my perimenopausal brain fog that's doing that. But it was Ben Jacobs, and it just crashed. Everything went dark, and I was like, that scene in Friends where Monica and Rachel lose the apartment, and Monica just goes, no! Yeah. That was me. Nothing would work, so I had to hop on my phone and do it all from my phone. So if I go dark, it's not because of Zinchenko's book. It's because, I'm actually buying a new computer this weekend, Tom.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, big purchase for the new season.
Nice.
Arsenal making big purchases. You know what?
The Apple way?
Right.
Or...
I've always been an Apple girl.
Okay. Yeah. That's fair. I now use a Mac, and it's glorious. I don't know why I waited so long to switch, but I did, and I can't think of a reason why I did. So yeah. I'm definitely a Mac person these days because it's just better.
Plug and play, Tom. Plug and play.
I know, it's so good. I like that because I've got an iMac at home as well that just sits, so I can now double screen it. So it's kind of like just being able to scroll my mouse across my Mac and then into the iMac next to me is just a great feeling. So
look at you showing off.
Very much enjoyed. Yes, and my show crashed the other day. I think I was in Buckingham. No, was it 10 Downing Street?
I lost count. I lost count where you went. I'm just expecting you at the White House at some point.
Not for a while.
On a US tour.
Not for a while. Maybe a couple of elections away.
So Tom, real quick anecdote, but the Arsenal tour, the MLS All-Star Game in Washington. So I do all the MLS events, as you know, and I woke up one day and I got an alert, and it said, "Don't forget the White House event in 2 hours."
Oh,
I was like, "What?
How do I get there in 2 hours?"
Signing up for this?
Yeah.
And casually, sometimes when you call the PR person, you're like, "Oh my God, I missed this alert. Is there anything you can do?" And literally, they were like, "Background checks. It's not going to happen in 2 hours." So if it's the White House. So there was an event on the White House lawn with Biden and Jill Biden.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden and Jill Biden. And I've only done this twice in my entire life. One was at the Cannes Film Festival, and this was at the White House. So
wow.
Been to the White House, but not on the lawn.
What a mistake.
Yeah, it was a huge mistake. Don't make them often.
No, I'm surprised that
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm going to do something like that, but I haven't. so, so
Champions League final alert. Here's
yeah.
can you imagine?
Yeah. I don't know if I should tell the story, but if I won't name them because I don't know if they've said this publicly. But a journalist friend of mine once put their passport through the wash before a major final and couldn't travel to it. So yeah,
No
I
bueno.
I can't imagine the stress that would induce, to be honest. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be a day where I have a moment. To be fair, I mean, I have a whole story of what happened to me in Lons with my car being hit by a gate, but like that was pretty chaotic, But I'm conscious that we're 5 minutes in, and there are some people who listen to my show when I do like a 2-minute intro and get annoyed that I spend 2 minutes without talking about Arsenal. So
Sorry.
aneurysms will be being created right
I
now in
apologize.
those in those listeners.
My fault.
This is an Arsenal podcast, not a White House, Buckingham Palace, plugging whoever you've interviewed show. And we are here to talk about the latest situation regarding the club. And of course, a lot has kind of happened, and not a lot has happened in the same kind of space. A lot has happened outside of Arsenal, and then not so much is going on with Arsenal. We should probably kick off with kind of the Eze situation and discuss this initially. I will talk about the Zinchenko stuff as well that's come out today as well. So I'm curious as to people's thoughts around that interview because it's definitely sparked some responses online. And I'm obviously I'll kind of give the lay of the land, as you will. Arsenal interested in Eze. They've been interested in Eze. Their interest was at its highest before when Eri had signed his new contract. Since that new contract was signed, that interest somewhat diminished because the need to sign him was much lower. However, of course, Leo Trossard's future is still very much in doubt. And if he was to move on, it could spark Arsenal into potentially moving for the player, even if maybe he doesn't leave and we sell the likes of Fabio Vieira and others, that could help prompt a move for Eze. But at the moment, a move for Eze is not a likely scenario until those things happen, at least, and maybe even not even then. And that has left the door open for him to go somewhere else, of which Spurs have, of course, now entered that race after the back of James Maddison's serious knee injury. So, Sophie, where are you at with Eze?
We were talking on WhatsApp the other day, and I said to you a couple of weeks ago, I think it was you and Albert, I messaged and I said, after the show with Sammy Mockbell, I felt like the Eze deal just wasn't going to happen. My heart kind of sank. And I don't usually let that happen to me during transfer windows. I try not to be too bothered because it's out of my control. That's a general rule of my life. If there's something I can't control, I try not to fester about it. But this one actually quite bothered me. And then when, you hear the rumors about Tottenham and, Tottenham had shown some interest in Eze maybe a couple season ago, they never really followed through on it. And it feels like one of those easy pickings. It feels like a signing that is there for the taking and Arsenal aren't doing it. It's kind of, you're out at night and the super hot person is actually giving you the eye and they want to know.
I don't know.
And you're like walking away from it,
Yeah.
And so I feel that, again, a little bit like, are you bothered that Tottenham won the Europa League? Yes, I am, because it's Tottenham that won the Europa League and we didn't win a title. It's always them that irks me. It's always them that gets my back up. If it was Eze going to Bayern Munich or anywhere else, I think Manchester United would also bother me. Any other club doesn't bother me. So again, it feels like Arsenal have done a really good job with this window. Again, they're just not going over the edge. It's kind of like, okay, you build this nice house and you make it look beautiful, but you fill it up with crap furniture. Why would you do that? Why would you build this beautiful home and then fill it up with crap furniture? So for me, it's kind of like this loose end to what I think could have been at least a 9 out of 10 transfer window.
Yeah. I think that it's a case of a frustration for me and a confliction, because what I don't want to happen is the lack of a seventh signing, be that Eze or somebody else, especially if he goes to another club like Spurs, which would make it more painful, is for that one signing to overshadow the 6 really good signings that we've made. The work that Arsenal have done to this point has been great. And I feel like it's being just disparaged because we're not, at the moment at least, looking like we're going to get that 7th. And it shouldn't. It shouldn't undermine it. You can talk about both in isolation. You can be critical of Arsenal not going for that 7th player, not going for an Eze or an alternative, and still appreciate the work that's gone on before. What do you make? I don't know. I'm almost regretting asking this question because I feel like I've explained it a million times myself, and I'm asking you the question, and it's going to come across as a loaded question now. But what do you make of kind of the whole? Why did we sign Madueke first and early when we should have signed Eze instead?
So another apology. Not only is my gardener here, but I forgot to turn the grandfather clock off. So my sincere apologies to all the talkies out there. I actually thought I annoyed you the other day when I asked you this question because I sent Tom
so many times.
I sent Tom a message and I said, what do you say to fans who, are irked that apparently according to signing Eze, it means that we've got to sell someone and that's just how it's got to be. And they'll say, well, we didn't have to sell anyone and we signed Madueke first. And Tom was, his response was, I'm sick and tired of answering this question. I'm like, okay, thanks. But the truth is what you said made sense to me. The initial objective of the season was to get a striker and cover for Saka. And, now people online I've been reading saying it was always left wing for me. I saw Mike Hertz and Elliot from Arsenal Vision exchanging some messages this morning because Hertz was like, well, that wasn't really our objective. And Elliot was like, it was mine all along. Madueke, I think, is going to be one of the most... he's an underrated signing, even though some Arsenal fans are irked again. He just can't. if he came from any other club other than Chelsea, no one would care, right? Let's be honest about that.
Yeah, that's
I thought in the second half against Bilbao, I thought he was very effective, did a great job. If for the post, it would have been a fantastic combination between him and Gyökeres for Gyökeres' second goal. I feel like he offers a lot of versatility to the team. He's exactly what Mikel likes. He's a bit of a hybrid player. And on the left side, all I've heard is Arsenal fans complain about Trossard, about Martinelli. And here's a player that if you look at his numbers, and I don't like numbers, but when it comes to dribbles and progressing the ball, his stats are higher than Eze's. Now, Eze has an X factor to him, though. Arsenal don't see Eze as a left-sided player. They see him as a number 10. So what are you going to do? He's going to play Odegaard. We just re-signed Waneri. Dowman's on this pathway. I don't agree with it, Tom. I have to say, I really do not agree with it because I think he just adds something. But for Madueke, I like this signing. I can't wait. Honestly, there's certain players. It was a little bit like Aaron Ramsdale when everyone poo-pooed the signing and how much we played. And no matter how it ended for Aaron, he shut everybody up. And no matter what anyone says about Aaron, he was part of the team that helped get us back into Champions League football. And if there's a player I'm rooting for this season to shut certain fans up, it is Madueke, no doubt about it. And the vitriolic response to his signing, I've never been more disappointed, actually, to be an Arsenal fan. The petition and all that nonsense.
Oh, my days. How embarrassing.
It was so embarrassing. So come on, man. I mean, would he have been my first choice?
I don't know what's more embarrassing, making the petition or being one of the people that signed it. I don't know what's worse. I really don't.
Both. So for me, I think he's an exceptional addition to the squad and let it play out. And I'll be the first one to say, you know what, I was wrong. He's not going to work out. But unfortunately, Raheem Sterling left a bad taste in the old mouth, and everyone, I believe, has PTSD and is judging it a little bit on that.
Yeah, I think the Chelsea factor is so relevant. If he came straight from PSV, I was chatting to James Benge about this the other day, and he raised the same point. If he came from PSV, the sense around it would just be so much different. Players, there are two clubs that players in recent years have gone to, and just potential has not been realised, or not in all cases, but in most cases, and particularly Chelsea and the other one being Manchester United. That players have gone to these clubs and their potential has just not reached the heights that they were expected to. And Madueke, I've said this before, when he was being linked there and eventually signed there, I was gutted because I really did like him at PSV, and I thought there's a real talent there, and he's going to a club that's just not going to get the best of him. So I'm hoping now at Arsenal that we might start to realise that. And I know that Havertz divides opinion amongst the Arsenal fan base, and I think it's because, again, Madueke is kind of somewhat affected by the Chelsea record. Havertz less so. I think Havertz is more affected by the desperation of Arsenal fans to have a proper number 9. And that kind of affects how they view Havertz. But I think Havertz, his goal he scored the other day was brilliant. And if he can produce some of those this season, I think I said this to a friend of mine the other day. I said, I think that this with Gyökeres in, it takes the pressure off Havertz, and it could be his most impactful season in an Arsenal shirt for all the other reasons that make him good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Havertz does this season. I'm looking forward to Gyökeres, of course, and everybody else like Madueke who's signed. But it is the sense that the outgoing side of things is the crux of the end of this window. And we were talking with Harry earlier, we are notoriously bad at selling. I think we all agree that we are notoriously quite bad at selling. We're not, it's difficult always to write those blanket statements, but in comparison to our rivals, overall in the last 10 to 15 years, our outgoings have not been great. We've cancelled contracts, we've sold players for less than they're worth, but Leno, Konstantinos Mavropanos, these did you like that pronunciation? I saw the reaction there. It was not bad.
Bravo.
Not bad. And like these players, Guendouzi, you could argue to an extent, and others, I'm sure, have been let go for less than I think they were worth. Others, Arsenal have got decent fees. It's not all bad. It's not like we always sell badly. That would be an incorrect statement. Nketiah, great sale. Joe Willock, great sale. Iwobi, great sale. Balogun, great sale. We've got some really good funds for these players, but overall our sales department needs to improve and to consistently deliver better fees for players. And so far under Andrea Berta, he's got a lot of credit rightfully for what we do in the market, but he's under pressure, I think, with these outgoings. Sophie,
I think it's not fair to judge Berta on selling in this window, right? Because what are you selling? It's, Del Boy had the gift of the gab, but he used to sell crap, right? The product has to be good in order for you to be able to, sell in a marketplace, in a competitive marketplace. And a lot of the times we just haven't sold at the right time, like peak time. We always give players the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes I think Arsenal make a mistake about falling in love with players a little bit. I can understand why Mikel Arteta wants Martinelli in the team. What he does off the ball and defensively is one of the best in the side, but he is an attacking player. But he's in the team, I believe, primarily because of what he does defensively. Does that make it right? According to the manager, yes. For me, I've defended Martinelli for a number of seasons, and it felt like maybe I was seeing things that I couldn't defend anymore. And if you can cash in on him for 85 million, as it was reported, maybe that wouldn't be the final number, but that allows you to rebuild the squad. So assets are important. Who are you selling? What do they offer? And at what price, at what time? And a lot of the times I feel like we're trying to flog, one of my other, a Fugazi, like in Donnie Brasco, when he's sitting at the bar and he thinks he's got this diamond and Johnny Depp goes up to him and says it's a Fugazi and he gets really, peed off at him. And a lot of the times I think we're full of Fugazis. And, that's got a lot to do with what we've purchased in the past and what they become at the club. It's almost like we let them decline and then we want to sell them. Or, Jesus, a good player, I think sell on value to Saudi a season ago would have been amazing. But we hang on to them a bit too long, hoping for X or Y to happen, Tom. So I don't blame Berta in this window. I would like to see what he does in January and next summer, because I think the assets that he has, the ones that want to be. Kivior, I think, is a great asset.
Yeah.
You know, that's you can capitalize on that right now, especially when you see what Mosquera is doing. I'd like to keep Kivior, but he's the one player in Martinelli, I think, that can bring in really good value.
Yeah, I think that's really true. The problem what we've got with Kivior is that he's valuable right now because he's valuable to us, you know, and if we do sell him,
true,
we're probably going to spend what we make on his sale on replacing him. So is it just smarter to just keep him for now, you know, and maybe think about that next summer after maybe Mosquera's had a season in to bed in, and you've got Marley Salmon coming through as well to consider. So maybe that we can kind of replace internally rather than having to. And then if we do sell Kivior, we've kind of just got that money to spend on other options. I think that's something to consider. But yeah, I think that our outgoings is definitely down to, you know, he's inheriting a squad. It's not his decisions of the past. Edu, you know, is responsible for the transfers of the past 5+ years at Arsenal. Previous to that, of course, Arsene Wenger and Sven Mislintat to a latter extent take, you know, some of the responsibility as well for what was left behind. Arteta took over an absolutely broken squad. We all know that. You know, he somehow managed to win an FA Cup with that squad. And it's one of the biggest things that bugs me is, like, I always find Arteta's biggest critics turn around saying, yeah, he only won that FA Cup because he won it with Emery's squad. It's like, that's not a criticism. A lot of people say it. Like, you always see it said. It's always something that's leveled at him. Oh, is that you? Do you say
Tom, I've said it to you on show. Those love coupons have expired. All right.
What do you mean? Go on.
The FA Cup love coupons have expired.
Oh, I don't use the FA Cup. I'm just saying that when people bring up the idea that he winning the FA Cup with Emery's squad is like, it means that he doesn't get credit. Like, for me, it's tougher. It was harder for him to do it with Emery's squad than to do it with the current squad, even though he's not achieved it.
I thought that for a long time. That happens in American sports more so. Like for any of your listeners out there, I know you have a lot of American listeners. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers team, Tony Dungy, a legendary coach. He left. John Gruden comes in, and the Bucs win the Super Bowl in his first season. Right, the architecture was there, the layers were there. This is why I believe Arne Slot was good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, man, that guy made, 2 tweaks to that team and they end up winning the league. But he inherited the architecture and the foundation of a phenomenal squad with at least 4 world-class players. And it's, you know, Mikel Mikel inherited an absolute mess, but he's rebuilt now. It's Arsenal 2.0. This is his team turnkey. Yeah. These are his players. So as much as I love the story and I love the journey, and he always talks about the journey, but I do think this season he needs to reach a destination. Doesn't have to reach like the biggest destination, but there has to be a destination. And what is that going to be? Is it going to be the Premier League? Champions League is tough, as we've seen.
Yeah.
Domestic cups, I don't think will appease certain Arsenal fans.
No.
But, you know,
they should
go so close.
To a degree, but you know,
I mean, it should. Yeah.
It should, you know, without a doubt, our aims are to win everything. You know, the aim is to win every competition we enter. And for this team, as good as it has been to not have any silverware, is mad to me. You know, and there's a lot of reasons behind why that's not happened. And Arteta takes some of the responsibility for that, certainly. But I personally think it's been things more so out of the control that have led to that eventual. Last season in particular, obviously, was just ridiculous. I still can't believe, as I say on the show, you know, quite often, I cannot believe we got to 2 cup semi-finals and still finished second after 27 separate injuries. I cannot believe we got that far.
I agree. I agree with that, Tom, but we also drew 14 games in the Premier League.
We also lost 22 points from winning positions.
Right.
That's what I mean.
We were Jekyll and Hyde. We were Jekyll and Hyde. We were phenomenal in the Champions League, and in the Premier League, even with the injuries, same injuries in the Champions League, right? Same we just played with totally different personality. We were split personality. And it just we just couldn't pull it together in the Premier League. And That
I thought it was
cost us.
interesting, some of his comments when he said, like, in the end, he wasn't picking teams for tactical reasons. He was picking teams based on who was available, who was fittest, because he had so few players that he was picking people based on who was available.
And I get that, which is why go over the edge, bring in. I know fans are like, financially, why can't we do it? Why can't we? You know, you go over the edge because okay, now you look at the team, right? If something happens, Calafiori injury prone, we've seen the benefits of him going forward. I think it's fair to say that, going forward, he offers a little bit more than Miles Lewis-Skelly. Defensively, Miles Lewis-Skelly is a much better player.
Yeah.
You've got Mosquera now, who looks like an absolute bargain. Are we going to be talking about him in the same light as Saliba? In midfield, you lose Zubimendi, God forbid. What are you going to do there? Yeah? Miles Lewis-Skelly, versatile, can play midfield. Waneri does. Some fans might not want to hear it, but I love him going forward. But unfortunately for him, Mikel Arteta's creative players, he likes them to defend.
Press
and I fear for Waneri a little bit, on that side of the game. So you still need a couple players.
I think he wants them. Like, I think that's one of the mistakes that people make. For me, it's thinking that Arteta is content with the squad as it is. I don't get that sense.
Then why isn't he banging down the door and telling them, bring me Eze or bring me X or bring
how do
me
we know he's not doing
Lookman?
that?
I don't like Lookman. I don't like
that we can't. How do we know that he's not doing that? Because if you think back to that last press conference,
it would be in the press
Emirates,
somehow.
But look at the press conference at the penultimate press conference of last season at the Emirates when we played Newcastle and won. I'll try and find you the exact quote of what he said. But he was I thought he was very, very poignant in what, here we go. He says, the plan is done and the time will be dictated by many parties, many circumstances that unfortunately we do not control. But we have a great people in charge that are there, and they're going to be leading that with the board and the ownership. And as well as to make sure the ones that we have, they feel valued, they feel loved, and they make sure that they want to continue with us in the right manner. Then the whole environment that is excited, that is not just about if we can make it because we cannot start a season like that. And I want to feel that from day one. I'm going to be very insistent on that. Like that last line there where he said, I'm going to be very insistent on not starting the season like we started last season, which was short. Like,
he said that in January too, didn't he?
And didn't get delivered. It didn't get delivered to him. And my fear is that he was coming personally. My fear, I agree. In January, it was more about the fact we didn't have a sporting director in place, and Jason Ato just didn't deliver, really. I just think that my fear with Arteta is that eventually he gets a bit tired of not getting. Like, if you consider the fact that there are, as soon as he leaves Arsenal, no matter what people think about him as a manager, as soon as he leaves Arsenal, he will not be short of offers from the biggest clubs in the world. No doubt.
I'm not going to argue with that.
He will be on the cards for a lot of elite level clubs when he leaves Arsenal. And so that interest will already be there. And so if he doesn't if he doesn't feel like he is going to be backed to what we need, and people turn around and say, oh, we spent nearly £1 billion on transfers, get that. But to compete for the title, you need to be spending that and more over 5 to 6 years. Chelsea did that in 2 years, let alone 5 to 6. Man City, since Pep came in, have spent a hell of a lot more than what Arsenal have in the same time frame. So it's not just about like how much we've spent. It's about, are we getting the players that we absolutely need to take us further? We can all see that we could do with that third extra signing. We can all see that if we take that extra step and look at Liverpool and look at City and what they're potentially going to do before the end of the window as well, and don't move and they do, I can't sit here and believe that Arteta's content with what he has and doesn't want more. I just can't see that.
I'm sure managers are never content. They always want more. I agree with you that anyone would hire him at this point, but he also likes control. At Arsenal, he's the guy. He goes to another club, he's not going to get that time. He has been afforded time at Arsenal. That just doesn't happen in modern day football unless you're a Klopp or a Pep Guardiola. I mean, Antonio Conte couldn't cut it at Tottenham, gone. There's just a ruthlessness to modern day management. He is a unique case study. And I wouldn't be surprised if sports management courses at university study this, because it's an anomaly in modern day sports, let alone the Premier League. So if he goes to like a PSG or a Bayern, he's not going to get that type of time now, as opposed with regards to
more resources.
He depends. Yeah. PSG, Manchester City seems like the place that, he would fit in and go to next. Barcelona, of course. Graham Hunter told me there's not the same relationship with Barcelona as he has with Arsenal. He really explained it beautiful on the show. Like, he just doesn't have that emotional connection to Barcelona. Of course, he loves and admires the club. And if they came calling, I'm sure he'd take the job. But you get cut like in 3 months there if you're not delivering. And I just find that it's very rare that you're given time in any job these days. And he's been given all of the tools and the resources. And I think sometimes to say that he hasn't had enough, maybe in certain seasons he hasn't spent the money on the right resources. But if you open up his toolbox, especially over the last 4 seasons, he has been given a lot of tools to work with.
Yeah.
And, almost delivered 2 titles in back-to-back seasons.
From that. I bring up this example a few times, like when Arteta took over, an 18-year-old fan was not even in their teenage years when Arteta took over. And I think that there's a large portion of the fan base that actually have already quickly forgotten where we were before he got appointed. Like, thinking about a title, a genuine title challenge, or being genuine contenders for the Premier League had not happened at Arsenal for how long? So, what, 15, 16
I mean,
years?
other than the FA Cups, you could say since the last time, the Leicester City season was the last time.
Even
and
then,
that was by default.
We didn't finish anywhere close to Leicester.
We didn't. Well, we ended up finishing second, didn't we? But
on the last day when all the talk was about Spurs having to go to
Tottenham
Chelsea and
win
at Chelsea, and to potentially, get a title, but we, we finished second at the not because we were close to Leicester. No, there was when we beat Leicester at home and Welbeck scored that goal. That was the closest we were at that point. We were top of the league, I think, at that point, but then things fell away, and we fell off. And Arsenal have not realistically been, established title contenders at a position where you go into the start of the season and you think, Arsenal are contenders for everything. Arsenal are contenders to win every single competition we enter. We haven't been in that position for a long time. So when we talk about kind of like what return are we seeing, that is the return. The return is that we are now a club that have the capacity to win any competition we enter. And we are a competitive side in any competition we enter. We just haven't yet crossed that line of doing it.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is it fair that you can respect what he did?
Yeah.
And undeniably, it's undeniable what he did. I think there are other people who are also responsible for it. The team behind the scenes, they do had a lot to do with it. But in terms of culture and the football fan part, Arteta takes all of the plaudits.
Yeah.
At what point are we going to stop looking in the rearview mirror and start looking ahead a little bit? Is it okay for certain fans to think, is he a closer?
Yeah.
Is he the guy that just changed the culture and made us competitive again and brought back all of the things that make you so happy to be an Arsenal fan? And he's not that guy. At what point can we stop going back and not bring that up as the keynote speech for Arteta today?
Well, I've always said that I feel like to earn the next contract, he has to deliver the next step, which, the last contract, before when he earned this contract he has now, he did that by taking Arsenal back into the Champions League and back to a competitive title challenging level. To earn the next contract, he has to take that. He has to close the silverware, as you say. He has to show that he can take Arsenal over that line and lift the trophy. You know, I feel like the trophy that he has to lift is one of the big two. Really, you know, is a FA Cup in this or next season after what squad we've got enough to say? But at the same time, I feel like I'm going to sit here at the end of kind of Arteta's contract and think, if he's not lifted a Premier League title or a Champions title in the next 2 seasons, and think, is that justifiable at that point to think we need to twist rather than stick, if you know what I mean? I hate using terms like sacked because I don't think there's a point where I will feel, but just based upon what I've seen so far and what I expect to see, I cannot see myself being in a position where I think I'll say, I think they need to sack him. I think I can get to a point where maybe they go, I'm not sure whether we renew him. I think I can get to that stage, maybe, if things don't go to plan. But do you know what I mean? I can't see
If we finish
myself...
5th, does he keep his job?
That's the thing. But I don't think we will. That's what I'm saying. I can't see a world where we will do that. I can't see where us going that far backwards. I think that we are established as title contenders and will be under Arteta. I'm just...
We
just
weren't
need to
last
see...
season.
Not towards the end, but we were contenders for the Champions League. Like, without question, we were.
But not in the Premier
Champions
League.
No, we fell. And to be honest, not last season, but it wasn't because of Arteta, in my opinion, because of that. It was because of 27 injuries and him not being delivered the transfer window we needed, despite wanting the centre forward, despite asking for the centre forward, despite wanting to be backed in January and not being backed in January because of reasons.
Did he? It's been... How many years ago did Aubameyang leave, and he's had how many windows to buy centre forward? I think we got a centre forward this season because of Berta.
Yeah, we did.
That's just my hunch, my opinion.
Yeah, we got it because of Berta, but I think Arteta got it because of Berta, and previously didn't get it because we weren't efficient, good enough in the window to convince or to negotiate the deal for the players we needed when they came about. So, not to mention, since Aubameyang left, there hasn't really been the market for the centre forward. In 2024, it was Sesko. That's who we wanted, and we were unsuccessful in making that deal happen. And the man in charge at that point of transfers was not Arteta. The man in charge of the transfers and getting the deals done was Edu. He's no longer here. He's gone, you know, because of his own volition.
Thought you were going to say voodoo.
I know. I nearly said the wrong word because of Arteta's voodoo, getting rid of it. But that's kind of where I'm at with kind of Arteta. In my opinion, there are windows where he has not been delivered what he wanted. That's my view. In 2024, I don't think he got delivered what he wanted. I don't think in January of this year he got delivered what he wanted. I don't think in the January window of 23-24, when we were so close to win the league, I don't think he got delivered what he would have wanted. I don't think that the people that are in charge of getting the deals done delivered him the deals that he wanted, personally.
So what I find interesting, and I'm not disagreeing with you. I just want to flip.
Yeah. You can disagree with me, Sophie. That is allowed.
Well, I do mostly anyway, but it's funny when it's funny kind of like the narrative when Arteta has the power and is the most powerful person at the club, and then he's not. I don't think for a second, and from what I've heard and conversations like you know, with someone at the club, everything is done by committee. You know, 4 people have to agree on the signings and stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, they've empowered him. He's the guy. And we also have the conversation about how he likes working with a small squad. But then when it comes to like missing the mark, oh, he wasn't given what he wanted. Oh, he didn't get what, you know, he asked for. So I feel like it's a little not hypocritical, contradictory, maybe, in that when we establish Arteta's persona at the club. And sometimes I feel like it's relevant to the conversation, in particular when things don't go well. Is that fair or foul?
I think that when Arsenal don't succeed, overall, it falls on the manager the most. And I think that's because you are the head of the charge. You know, you're the person in the spotlight. You're the one that fronts up. And so if Arsenal fail as a club, it's on him. Now, failure is obviously a subjective term. It depends upon how you view and what your parameters are for what a failure would be. And it depends upon the context. That's why for me last season, I struggled to describe the work that Arteta, the job that Arteta did as a failure. I struggle with that because I look at what happened, and I personally look at what other clubs what happened to other clubs that had less issues than we did and fell so far down. Like Spurs and United had issues and fell to 15th and 17th in the table. Spurs lost like 20 plus games. And I know they got a Europa League at the end of it, which frankly, I think it exposes I'd looked at that more of an exposure of I don't know the right word to describe it. It's just the lack of like prestige there is with that competition now, I think was encapsulated by the fact the team that finished 17th in the Premier League with 20 plus losses was able to win it. I think that's what it showed me. And
those demises had been brewing over a season, especially Manchester United. That was coming, right? And still, you know, when Mourinho said finishing second with this team is one of my greatest achievements, everybody laughed at him.
He was right. So right. So spot on. And Mourinho gets it, right? Like, I've got my issues with Mourinho for a lot of reasons. You know, I'd never want him as a coach of Arsenal because I just don't think we mesh. Like, I don't see Mourinho and Arsenal meshing. There are just different contexts. That doesn't mean that I don't rate him as a coach because he's a brilliant coach who's won everything. So you can't not rate Mourinho, but at the same time, you can certainly think that there's just certain clubs where he wouldn't fit. He didn't fit at Spurs because he's a serial winner at a club that has got an issue with winning. So
they sacked him a week before a League Cup final, Tom.
I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when that was delivered to him. I would have loved, because I have no doubt he probably would have won that cup because he knows how to win trophies.
No doubt.
He would have. He probably would have won him that final. But like I mean, the speech Art de Roche always brought up the speech that Mourinho gave to Arteta in a press conference. I think it was this season just gone. He brought up the football heritage speech that Jose Mourinho went on in that press conference. Like that, if you haven't watched you can YouTube it. Go and just type in Jose Mourinho football heritage. He talks about how United have lost that heritage. You know, where they're finishing, when they're dropping out of competitions, where their players are going to play when they leave the club. You know, these are the types of things, you know. Whereas you look at like Arsenal under Arteta, and yes, he hasn't won that trophy since the FA Cup. But what he has done is that he has established Arsenal again amongst the biggest competitors in Europe with a smaller budget than the teams that are finishing above him. The likes of Manchester City, the likes of PSG winning the Champions League. Like these teams that have spent more, have bigger budgets, bigger wage bills than us. But he is punching and has punched with Arsenal above our weight, getting us into where we are now. We just need to know now whether he can deliver us an even higher punch than he currently has, which is that title. Because who are your favourites? Like in order of kind of Premier League and Champions League, if you're to order, say, your top four for each of those, who are your favourites for both competitions?
Well, I'd also just like to say, based on your comment there about, you know, getting over the edge, you have to eventually, because once these players taste winning together, they may stay together.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing that people just keep looking at winning. The cost of not winning is far greater than in what's been established than meets the eye. You don't want Saliba to go to Real Madrid. You don't want Saka. This is why winning the League Cup last season, I say it all the time, was so important. It's because they would have got a taste of winning first week of March, and that thought of, bloody hell, does it feel this good to win the League Cup? How does it feel to win the Premier League? Can you imagine that feeling? They have established competitiveness. They've reignited the heritage. They've made Arsenal respectable again. But they haven't infused the winning culture. And winning is a habit. And the League Cup would have started a really healthy habit. They know how to compete together. They don't know how to win together. And once you start winning together, you look at the Liverpool, Man City, the old Man United teams, our teams, you want to stick together and win more. Becomes addictive. So for me, that's the biggest thing. In terms of my favorites, I'm actually doing a show right after this on Highbury Squad with Kyle Campbell, and
Brilliant.
officially doing my season predictions as well. So look, I think that people are automatically handing the title to Liverpool. And I think Liverpool have what is a insurmountable problem, and that is dealing with grief.
Yeah.
And grief is a beast. And grief takes you on a journey that sometimes hits you at times you are least expecting it. And it can hit you in the best moments of your life, and it can hit you in the worst moments of your life. And I think that it's either going to galvanize them at times, and it's going to hurt them at times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of tributes to Jota coming, and there's a constant reminder. You're reminded every day because you loved him. He was your friend. But there's going to be this continual narrative, and you want to keep the memory alive. Absolutely. They're also investing a lot of money in competing. Now, that doesn't compare to what they've lost. But I think that is going to be a challenge. And they've also lost some key players up front. They've got new players coming in who haven't played in the league before. They've got maybe an issue at the back, but they could resolve that with Gay. So as much as everyone is saying Liverpool is shoo-in, maybe they're not. Manchester City are another evolution. They're getting rid of. I've seen a lot of Man City fans really upset, Tom, about the players that they're getting rid of, or that are seen to be leaving. But if there's a wounded animal that can bounce back and attack you and just absolutely maul you, it's Pep Guardiola. So I also think people are underestimating Chelsea. I think they're a really good team. Now, are they mature enough to win the league? We'll see. But I think they're going to be better than last season. And that wonder kid, sorry, what's his name? It's totally gone out of my head. The Brazilian boy. The Brazilian begins with E. E, I think. The Brazilian boy.
Which club?
He came from Brazil. Chelsea. Playing
Chelsea.
for
Esteval.
Yes, him. I predict he will be the young player of the year. He'll compete with a couple of others, but that boy has an X factor. He's a Dowman. Like when I see, it makes me want Dowman to play, but I want to protect him. So, and will Man United bounce back? Probably too soon. Do you go from 17th or 16th, to the top four? But they've bought some good players. Is Amorim going to be able to pull that together? For me, Chelsea's the dark horse, because they play like ignorant. And I say that like in a nice way. They go out there and they play fearless, I think. And that was exemplified in the Club World Cup. They went out there and like, I don't know why we're here, but let's just play football. And they won it. You know what I mean?
They got an easy run to the final, but they had to deliver against PSG, who obviously already won the Champions League. So,
and for us, Tom, just to finish your question, it's mental for us. Mental. We've got the talent, but we failed mentally at the last hurdle. I truly believe with PSG, we failed mentally at the beginning of the home game.
Yeah.
We were overawed by the occasion. We didn't play the game.
Yeah. I agree.
The same thing in the league. We liked being the hunter, not the hunted, and we felt City over our shoulder. Mental for us is going to be where we win or lose this title.
So just without the context then, 1 to 4 Premier League favourites, where would you go?
I would say, so you want me to give you your top 4 now and ruin my exclusive
not
on
where you
Highbury
think
Squad?
they'll finish, just the favourites.
I think it's got to be Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal and Chelsea.
Yeah,
I can't see beyond those 4 teams.
Yeah. Is that the order you'd put them in?
No.
Okay. Are you hiding that for your show?
Yes.
Okay. Is Arsenal the top one?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think if we get one more signing, Arsenal will be at the top for me. But I worry about I'm a realist. It worries me about our mental capacity to close That's the only reason why I'm reluctant to choose us to win the title.
Yeah. I think that Arsenal are my third favourites personally. I put Liverpool first, just based upon the squad that's available to them, the potential of that squad. City, because of the pedigree and the manager that they've got there, would be my second favourite, and I put Arsenal third. Champions League, obviously, I'd then put City and Liverpool with PSG, up there. But I personally think that the three Premier League clubs have become in the top four of European football. Just look at the way Arsenal battered Real Madrid last season. I can't put Real Madrid's ahead of Arsenal when we've just battered them 5-1. Like it's difficult in the current context. I'm not talking about in overall European history. I'm just talking about as of right now. We've just watched Arsenal batter them when they had so many players missing, like Gabriel, etc. So many key players absent. So many key players not in their top form, like Saka after 4 months of injury.
Mikel Merino as the striker.
Mikel Merino as the centre forward at the Bernabeu. So that for me is kind of where I'm at, and that's why it's always for me about Arsenal are punching to have that title expectation. If Arsenal win the title or the Champions League, they would have overachieved. They would have overachieved based upon
because of the injuries.
The general no, because this season. I'm talking about this season.
This season. We've got a better bench this season.
We do have a better bench, but if we win the title or the Champions League, either of those two would be above what the majority of football fandom would predict, in my personal view.
Yes, but deep down they know we're a good team, and it's just rhetoric.
Sure, but even amongst the Arsenal fan base, I'd also say that they're not expecting that to happen. The expectation
they want it to happen.
Want it to, and think it's possible, yes, but expecting it would be an overachievement compared to what people are expecting to happen. I'm not talking about expectation as in the sense of what are our expectations for the season in terms of you should expect Arsenal to win the league. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that what we genuinely, using our brains, expect to happen, the prediction,
I hear you,
would not be Arsenal winning either of those two competitions. So if we do win them, it will be an overachievement of
punching.
What we would have been punching above what is as expected. I'm conscious of the time, so I've got to go to football training, Sophie.
Back to the hot girl at the bar. Yeah, I've got to go. Got to do show. Come join me. I'll just switch over to Highbury Squad, if that's okay for me to say, Tom.
Absolutely. Chat box. We don't usually do raids, but we're going to do a raid. Is what we're going to do. So as soon as, let me just get the link up and I'll put it into the chat box for people just to click. But as soon as we're finished here in about a minute's time, you are going to type into YouTube the Highbury Squad, or you're going to click on the link as well. Is it the Have Your Say show, correct? Yeah. Or is that the other schedule?
There's a picture. There's a picture of Kyle and Zubi and have a it's a picture of Kyle and Arteta. I know I've started posting them. Is that a good thing for the algorithm? I don't know.
I think so.
Should I not do
that? I
usually
schedule it like an hour before they go live.
Yeah, someone told me it's a good thing to do. So I'm naive. I'm a grandma. I barely know what an algorithm is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Don't get injured.
Yeah. When you're looking at that link in the chat box, make sure you click it, people. Make sure you click that link.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate that, mate.
That's where you need to go, because we're going to do a raid and then let the chat box know that you have indeed arrived over there, because that's what we do. Sophie, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, mate.
Really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
No worries. It was great. I enjoyed the conversation. Thanks to the talkies, and everyone stay safe and come visit us, and we'll keep the conversation going.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find Patrick's comment. It popped up. I should have clicked and saved it when it did, but basically Patrick said something on the lines of this has been his favorite conversation of the whole summer. So but I should have saved it.
Wow.
Here it is. Yes. Loving the show. This has been my favorite discussion all summer.
I love that.
Respect, guys. We had a couple of super chats as well. It says, I want Kenan Yildiz, says Temi. We did a show, of course, on Wingers this morning, so go and check that one out. And Leandro said, 1 City or Arsenal, 3 Chelsea, 4 Liverpool. Clip that. We will. It's alive. It's a live show. It's going to be there forever. So you're either going to be embarrassed or vindicated. We will wait and see what it turns out you become. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Do drop a like on the video. Do subscribe to the channel. I'm going to post it in the chat box one more time where you are going to go. You're going to click this link right now. It's going to take you into the Highbury Squad's live show, which is going live in a minute's time. So, Sophie, you better shoot off.
I'm
See you
gonna
later,
run.
people.
Love you, babe.
Stay safe,
Bye.
stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.